Welcome to day one of our Halloween challenge, where we'll be learning how to put 2 feet on a pumpkin. So we're going to start this skill on a flat object, something nice and round and relatively flat. It could be a square, doesn't matter, but as long as it's flat, not going to roll around too much. You could use something like a step. You're then going to take a treat. This is called luring, so you're going to keep this next to your dog's nose, licking, nibbling, and guide them towards the step or the surface. Anytime their foot makes contact, you're going to mark. So I use a clicker, you can say good or yes, and reward them for their feet going on the surface. Over time, they will start to work out, it's my foot making contact on the surface that is getting me rewarded. And then what you may find is that your dog chooses to stay on the surface. If they do, mark and reward. And if they choose to gravitate back towards it, we can still mark and reward. So right now, Rem's got 1 foot on the surface. That's absolutely fine. So you can wait for them to choose to put their feet back on the surface and see if they do it automatically. If they don't, you can go back to luring and just mark and reward when those feet make contact. If they're continually putting 1 foot on and the second one isn't coming, you can just continue to lure until 2 feet make contact. And then you may see this little pause start to happen. So now we've got 2 feet on. I'm just going to continue to mark and reward that every couple of seconds so that he knows this is the behaviour I want. This is what gets rewarded. And generally what gets treated gets repeated. And again, every few times, I'm then going to release him and get him to go off so that he can choose to come back onto it if he wants to and work out exactly what it is I want him to do. Okay, so now we've done this a few times, what you can do is take away the food. So there's nothing in my hand. I'm just going to guide him and he's going to follow my hand, assuming there's a treat there. The click still happens when his foot is on the surface. As you can see, he's making contact with it and then taking his foot off straight away. That's not a problem at the initial stages. But again, what we can then do is start to have a little bit of a pause so that we're encouraging him to put his feet on and wait just a second before we mark and reward. Now this surface is quite tricky because it's quite low and therefore it's almost hard for him to kind of tell, are my feet on the right thing or not? If you were to use something slightly higher, it's more obvious they've stepped up onto it. Oh boy. And then again, once we've got to this level where they're happy putting their feet on, there's a little bit of a pause. You can say something like wait or stay if you want to, you don't have to. But we can start to build the duration of how long is he going to stay on this platform for. And we can build up the duration that he's then happy staying in that position for a little bit longer. This is really good for building up some core strength muscles, depending on what surface you are asking them to do this on. And obviously we're doing a pumpkin for a little bit of fun, but you can do this on any surface you would like. Now everyone calls this something different. You can call it paws up, toes, feet. I personally call it 2 because it's 2 feet on an object. So once they're used to doing it without food in your hand, you can then introduce a verbal cue. 2. 2. Ooh. 2. We say that verbal cue just as they're about to perform the behaviour we'd like them to do. 2. So they hear the word and are doing the action pretty much straight after they then hear their click. So there's a little flow chart happening of just as they're about to perform the action, we say the cue, 2, click, reward, 2. And again, for the duration, we just delay the click. He's taking his foot off, so we'll see if he works out if he needs to put it back on again. Good boy. So now your dog knows how to do 2 feet on a flat object. We're now going to transfer it to a pumpkin. Obviously pumpkins are round, they're going to wobble a little bit. So you want to pick a pumpkin that is the right size for your dog and try and find one that's a little bit flat and squishy. Mine's a little bit round. So as you can see, I've just got my foot against it to stabilise it a little bit, because otherwise as Rem puts his feet on it, it rolls away, which is a little bit more challenging. So when you have got that, we may need to reduce down the difficulty. So we may need to go back to having treats right in front of our dog's nose, and you may need to just reward 1 foot making contact with the pumpkin to then build the skill and transfer it over from a flat surface onto a round one. So use your treat lure to guide them up to the pumpkin. As soon as they make contact, you can mark and reward, and then I will release him so that he goes off and gets to go off and have a little sniff, and then comes back to the pumpkin again. So again, I'm going to use my lure. He might lick and nibble my fingers a little bit, and then I'm going to encourage him up onto the surface, and as soon as he's got his feet on the pumpkin, marking and rewarding. Now, if your pumpkin is quite stable, oh, he slid off. If your pumpkin is quite a stable pumpkin, once your dog's kind of placed their feet and found their ground, you may be able to remove your foot. It may not happen. Right. Good boy. Oh, you're rolling around. As you can see, Rem is quite enthusiastic with training. He doesn't think very much when he's training. He gets quite overexcited quite quickly. So we have to do this in short, sharp bursts. And maybe your dog's the same. So it might take you a few goes to practice this. 2, 2. Good. And again here, because I want him to stay in position a bit longer, I'm just going to keep clicking and rewarding in little gaps so that he stays in the position a little bit longer. And then after a little while, I'm then going to click and say, okay, go off and get your treat. This is something I would practice short, sharp bursts each and every day, varying up different objects and then building up to your pumpkin. So when your dog is happy to stand on the pumpkin, as you can see, you could block this with something, move away, and it actually makes a really nice picture, because that's where I like to use it.